What's going on, guys? Welcome to Inside the Horseshoe. My name is Matt, and today let's talk about some of the undrafted free agents that the Indianapolis Colts signed this past weekend. Now, before I do that, if you're new, if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you would click that subscribe button. Also, click the bell icon so you're notified when I upload a video or when I go live. If you like this video, smack that like button. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. And if you have a Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at horseshoe_pod. There is a link in the description down below. So what every NFL team does after the draft is they'll go out, they'll find some undrafted free agents that they feel like could help them win some games, and that is what the Indianapolis Colts did. Now, what I figured I would do is I would go through all the undrafted free agents that they signed, and I would give my quick thoughts on each of those players. Now, we're going to start with quarterback. They signed two, which I found kind of weird. I don't remember them ever signing two undrafted quarterbacks, but that could just be me. And we're going to start off with Kedon Slovis. So Kedon Slovis, he was at USC for 3 years. He transferred to Pitt in 2022, and then this past season, he transferred to BYU. Now, his freshman year, he was awesome. He was great his freshman year. 71.9 completion percentage, 3,500 yards passing, 8.9 yards per pass, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's pretty good. And he was sacked 23 times. So it's not like he had a great offensive line. It wasn't that good. So the fact that he was able to put up those numbers his freshman year, that's pretty impressive. So obviously, he had a bright future ahead of him. However, every year after that, his numbers would go down. 2020, his completion percentage dropped to 67%. His yards dropped to 1,921. He averaged 7.3 yards per pass, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not good. 2021, not good either. 65% completion percentage. His yards did go up, 2,100 yards. He averaged 7.2 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He, of course, transfers to Pitt when Caleb Williams gets to USC, and it drops even more. 58.4 completion percentage, 2,397 yards passing, 7.6 yards per pass, 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. 2023 at BYU this past season, his completion percentage drops yet again to 57.5%. His yards go down to 1,716 yards, averaging 6.5 yards per pass, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Definitely his worst year yet. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this signing, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it's a tryout for him, sure, but I don't see him making the roster. Maybe he gets a practice squad roster spot, but that's about it. He's not making the 53. And no offense to him, I just don't think he's good. I don't think he's good. I mean, if he played as well as he did his freshman year, he would have been drafted. But if we had him and he was putting up numbers like he did his freshman year, I think I'd be a lot more excited. But he's just not good. So I'm not a big fan of the signing personally. Now let's move on to the next quarterback, which is Jason Bean from Kansas. So he started off at North Texas, didn't really do anything his freshman year, only had 2 passes, didn't complete a pass. Didn't do anything his second year because he only had 35 passes. His junior year, last year at North Texas, those numbers did go up as far as the amount of passes that he threw. It went up to 145 yards passing, had a 54.5 completion percentage, 1,131 yards, averaged 7.8 yards per pass, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He transfers to Kansas. Not really much better. 56.4 completion percentage, 1,252 yards passing, 6.9 yards per pass, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But in 2022, that's where things began to turn around. Didn't pass nearly as much, passed 136 times, 64% completion percentage, 1,280 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He averaged 9.4 yards per pass. And then this past season, 2023, had 199 passes, 62.3 completion percentage, 2,130 yards passing, 10.7 yards per pass, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So the numbers did go up. He's also a runner too. He's an athletic, athletic quarterback. He uses legs. 2021 had 402 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. 2022 had 222 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. 2023 had 280 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. So he can definitely use his legs, and he can be a weapon in that format. Again, I don't really see him making a roster because he's going to be battling, him and Keaton Slovis are going to be battling with Sam Ehlinger. And when I look at Sam versus these two, I just think Sam is going to get that third spot because I do believe they're going to have 3 quarterbacks. Sam will be that emergency quarterback. But yeah, I don't see Jason Bean being that. I don't see Keaton Slovis being that. I do think the battle for the practice squad quarterback, if one of them makes the practice squad, that is going to be interesting. That is going to be the battle. I think that could be fun. But when it comes to the 53, I don't really see these guys doing anything. I don't see them making a roster. Maybe Jason Bean switches positions. I mean, maybe that happens. But yeah, I don't really see him making a 53 as well. I'm a bigger fan of him than I am of Keaton Slovis, but me personally, when I look at these two, I don't think they make it over Sam Ehlinger, personally speaking. Now we're going to move on to our next guy, which is going to be Trent Penix, who was a tight end at NC State. Seems like a more rotational guy, only had 15 catches this past season, 190 yards receiving, 12.7 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. So he was more of that rotational guy. You would plug him in and use him in some situations. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're pretty full when it comes to tight ends. Like, you got to look at it this way. I know he's fast. He's got pretty good speed, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he was the fastest tight end in this class. I could be wrong about that, but I believe he was the fastest. So he's got some speed to him. You got to look at it this way, right? Look at our tight ends. You have Jelani Woods. He's not getting in over Jelani. He's not getting in over Kylan. He's not getting in over Ogletree. And he's not going to get in over Will Mallory. Now, do they want to have 5 tight ends in their active roster? I don't know. Because if that's the case, he'd be battling with Mo. I would think Mo would get the spot, but they would save $6 million if they release Mo, so maybe he would get that 5th spot. But he's definitely going to make the practice squad, 1,000%. He'll still be on the practice squad. And look, if we have an injury or 2 with our tight ends, maybe you can plug him in. He's got some pretty good speed. I'm sure Shane Steichen can develop some plays for him. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to make the practice squad. Again, how many tight ends do you want on your 53? I would think 4, but if they go 5, maybe they put him in over Mo because he would be the cheaper option. Like, he's not going to cost anything. So maybe that would be the case, but I do see him making the practice squad for sure. I think he's going to be, he'll make the roster there, and maybe there will be a game or 2 where he is a part of the 53, right? Maybe he does get moved up and they can use him for a game or whatever, but that would be about the most I would think he would have when it comes to actual games. But now we're going to move on to a kicker. They did sign a kicker, an undrafted kicker, Spencer Schrader from Notre Dame. He has a cannon of a leg. Like, he can kick 60-plus yard field goals. He absolutely can. He has a strong leg. Accuracy, to me, is the problem with Spencer Schrader. That is the issue. Because, pretty good in that 20 to 29 yard range, 3 for 3, doesn't miss that close, right? Pretty good in that 30 to 39 yard range, but after that, once you get the 40 plus, that's where it's hit and miss. Because this past season for Notre Dame, he was 3 for 6 when it came to field goals from 40 to 49 yards, and then 50 yards or more, it was 4 of 7. So, has a strong leg. The longest he's kicked, or the longest he's made, was a 54-yard kick. But, yeah, he has a cannon of a leg. I don't see him making the 53. This is really going to be his opportunity to show the NFL what he's capable of, and maybe he can earn a spot somewhere else. because, there will be kickers that are going to get cut and released because if you miss an important kick, you're gone, right? Remember Blankenship in the Texans game 2 years ago missed a kick that would have led to a victory. They released him after that game. That's probably going to happen again. Someone's going to get released, and maybe Spencer Schrader can show, hey, look what I did during the preseason. You should bring me in, and maybe teams will do that. So, cannon of a leg, just that accuracy once you get to 40 yards or longer, not good. Not good at all. It's 50%. It's not great at all. So Spencer Schrader was another guy that the Indianapolis Colts went out and signed. All right, let's move on to Dalton Tucker. So Dalton Tucker, offensive lineman from Marshall, had a pretty good year this past season, allowed 1 sack, 13 total pressures. He was a right guard. So honestly, not bad at all. Pretty good. He's 6'5", 315 pounds, got good size to him. I like this signing. I personally do. This might be my favorite of the undrafted free agent signings personally, and I think he has the best chance to make the 53. He would obviously be a backup to Will Fries. He would obviously be the backup, but maybe he could be kind of a swing guard, right? So like he could start at right guard, and let's say Quentin Nelson gets hurt, he can move over and play left guard. So maybe he can do that. I, of course, want to see him in the preseason and see how he does, but I like this signing. I think he could make the roster personally. So, yeah, Dalton Tucker, 1 sack allowed, 13 pressures. I like this signing. And now we're going to move on to Craig Young, who is from Fort Wayne, Indiana, linebacker. He was at Kansas this past season. Pretty solid numbers, 41 total tackles this past season, 29 solo, 12 assisted, 1.5 sacks, 1 interception, decent numbers. 2022, he was much better though. 60 total tackles, 42 solo, 18 assisted, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. I'm good with this. I'm fine with it. I don't think he's going to make the 53, but he's definitely a practice squad type tight end. He solid numbers, played pretty good. Was a part of Kansas. Kansas was pretty good this season. So Craig Young's another guy. I'm good with that signing. I think he can definitely make an impact in some way, shape, or form. All right, so now we're going to move on to wide receiver Xavier White, who is from Texas Tech. Decent numbers this past season for them, 39 catches, 556 yards, 14.3 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. Had a 72-yard catch as well. He ran a 4.45 40-yard dash, so he does have pretty decent speed. I could see him maybe being a special teams type of guy, but honestly, I think our receiver room is just loaded in all honesty. Like I think it's pretty full. Is it the best receiver room in the NFL? No. But you got Michael Pittman, you got Josh Downs, you got Alec Pierce, you got A.D. Mitchell. I mean, you got Anthony Gold, you got Ashton Doolin as well. So I mean, that's 6 receivers right there. So he's definitely somebody I think would make the practice squad unless you moved him to another position so you could use him in special teams. That would be probably his best chance of making a 53, but assuming he doesn't switch positions and he stays as a wide receiver, then he's not going to make the 53. Maybe he plays running back. He is 6 foot, 195 pounds, so maybe they can use him as a running back. But that would probably be about the best chance he would have to make the 53. I think I could see him making the practice squad, but I don't see Xavier White making the 53 unless he changed positions. And if he did, I would have to see him in preseason before I can make a decision on whether or not I would think he would make the 53. So now we're going to move on to the last player in today's video, which is Isaiah Cole, who is a defensive lineman from Oklahoma. So Isaiah Cole, this past season, he was a rotational guy at Oklahoma. This past season, 26 total tackles, 6 solo, 20 assisted. Not great numbers. The previous year, in 2022, didn't have as many tackles, but he did have 2 sacks. So there is that as well. Seems like a guy that was more of a rotational piece at Oklahoma. Maybe that's what he could be at Indianapolis. I don't really see him doing a whole lot. Um, I mean, maybe he makes it. He'll definitely be a practice squad guy. But when it comes to 53, I don't really see it happening. So that's going to do it, guys. That is going to be all the undrafted free agents that the Indianapolis Colts signed. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you're new, if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you would click that subscribe button, click the bell icon so you're notified when I upload a video or when I go live. If you like this video, smack the like button, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you have a Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at horseshoe_pod. There is a link in the description down below. Tomorrow, I will go over all the guys we drafted, and I will give my initial grades and potential grade that I believe they could achieve in tomorrow's video. So thank you very much for watching. I've been Matt, Bleed Blue. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you watch one of these other two videos. They're cool. Also, if you're new, please click the subscribe button as well as the bell icon. I greatly appreciate your support.